So Finn and I are back reviewing another 2023 release, and this time it is going to be The Last Voyage of the Demeter. This is the newest Dracula and or horror film of 2023. So yeah, let's go ahead and get right into this. We have a quick reaction up on our channel, so if you don't want to hear us blubbering on for the next 30 minutes, I'd suggest go checking out our quick reaction on the film. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive right into this movie. So Finn, what did you think of The Last Voyage of the Demeter?
I thought it was alright. It was pretty good. Yeah, it was a good movie, but it had some pretty boring moments throughout.
No, I definitely agree on that. I think they definitely could have shaved a good 30 minutes out of the second act, because I think the first act has great setup, it has great build-up, there's a great level of intrigue, and then the second act, once the events start taking a turn for the worst, like all of that is good, but then it comes to a halt after a while.
Yeah.
Because the audience already knows that Dracula, is a thing. And I think a lot of people, are going to this movie expecting Dracula, and I think, I don't think this is so much a Dracula film. I think that this is a film that has Dracula in it, but I think this is a film based more on the mythos and the story of Dracula more than where was I getting at with that?
Well, I don't know. It said it was based in some book set in the Dracula universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sets up for a sequel.
It does. The sequel actually is a good idea. I think it reminds me a little bit of Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. It reminds me a little bit of that in the idea that they're taking for the sequel.
I haven't seen that movie. Something about the movie though. Yeah, I kind of figured about halfway through they were gonna set up for a sequel.
Oh yeah, I don't think a sequel is going to happen just because this film already took 15 years to develop.
Fair enough.
I think a sequel, I think depending how box office wise this film goes, I don't know if a sequel is going to happen, because our theater wasn't packed tonight. It was probably us, and then there were maybe 10, 12 other people. So I really don't know how this film is going to perform well at the box office. I think the marketing for this film has been very low note. I think this is the type of film that you can easily miss, that you didn't know was coming out until like opening day. So I don't know how many people are going to see this, because I think with Barbie and Oppenheimer still very popular and still at the high, I don't think that this film is going to get as much attention as it does deserve.
Yeah, I would probably see either of those two before rewatching this, but I would say give this movie a go. It was pretty good. It was enjoyable.
Yeah. And now let's talk about the man of the hour, Finn.
Yeah.
Dracula himself. That's the reason why everybody's watching this movie. So Dracula in this film, I really like the way they used him. He's used more as someone to kind of torment this crew, and I really like that side of him. And this isn't in the trailer, but he does something that is very possession like. Anyone who's seen the movie will know what I'm getting at there, and I thought that was a great new idea for Dracula to kind of show that there's almost like a blood transfer, and how once you are bitten or infected by Dracula, he has complete control over you. I really liked that idea that this film brought forward, and I think they really utilized it for some really great attention scenes in this. And Dracula is used as a more, I would say he's more in the background. He's not in the movie a whole lot, which to me I didn't mind. I didn't mind that he wasn't in the movie a whole lot, because I think from the trailer, he's they're really keeping him a mystery, and I think that that refers to this movie, is I think he's there as someone who has a presence, but this film has 3 different layers of suspense, Finn.
Mm-hmm.
There's the claustrophobia side of it. They're on this boat, they can't get off, so it already builds this immediate tension and this immediate claustrophobia that any corner you turn, Dracula could be there, and so I really liked that intrigue to it. I loved the way Dracula looked. I think this is the best Dracula we have ever seen on screen. I think he looks more like, when you hear the name Dracula, I think this is what I envision him as. Like, I think all the other interpretations and adaptations of Dracula, where you see him in the cape and all that, while that's cool and all, I don't think that is realistic.
You see him in a cape at the end.
Wait, when?
The last scene.
Yeah, I guess, but like that's not really. I think that's more. That's like a very tiny part of the movie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for the most part, you see him as like, I don't know.
Like as just like as like this full-on like creature and like demented figure, and that I really liked, and I liked how how he can talk to people and how he kind of haunts their nightmares. Like, this is something that's very subtle in the film, and it's only there for a quick few scenes, but I really liked how he kind of whispers in the characters' ears and all of that. I really dug all of that, and I thought the acting in this film was also really, really good. And when it comes to horror as well, I think horror is never in the conversation for Oscars, but I think this film should definitely be considered for an Oscar for
what kind?
For best cinematography, because I think the cinematography in this is phenomenal, especially the last few shots that you see in the ocean. Like, there's one shot in particular that is absolutely breathtaking to look at. Like, it is
that one's very nice.
It is wallpaper like worthy, like photography there, and I really like the way that the film was shot. What do you think, Finn? Do you think it should be nominated for an Oscar for best cinematography?
Maybe.
Like, Oscars are always very toxic when it comes to horror. Like, there's a lot of films out there, like Mia Goth should have been 100% nominated for X or Pearl, because her performance in those movies is fucking perfect. And then, the Oscars completely looked past her. So, this film won't get nominated for an Oscar, but, I think it should definitely be in that conversation for sure. Do you have any further thoughts on that?
I don't know. Not really. I don't know. Kind of one problem I had, well, we were talking about horror as a whole. One problem I had with this movie is a problem I have with horror as a genre as a whole, where there's 2 modes. Scary and boring. And that's it. You're either like, there's the scary scenes, like, that's scary, or you're just bored waiting for the scary scenes to happen.
Yeah, right. Like, I think all the slower scenes, I think they're all, like, character building scenes, which, that did bring up a question to me as I was watching it. This isn't a character film, because the characters have very little development in this film. And, this is a Dracula film. Of course there's going to be kills, there's going to be carnage, so this is not a spoiler, but a lot of the kills that you do see, the aftermath of it, there's a long fucking 5-minute sequence dedicated to that person's death, and there's sad music playing, and I had no idea who died.
Yeah, that's true.
I had no idea who died, and so I think this film, it's not a character film. This is definitely not a Dracula film. I might get a lot of hate for not calling it a Dracula film, but I think he's in the film so little that it's really hard to call this a full-on Dracula film.
Well, it's set in the I haven't read Bram Stoker's Dracula or the other book, but it said it was based on some other book, some prequel book or whatever, the Captain's Diaries or something. It's based off that, and that's set in the same universe, and I'm assuming takes place before the Dracula book, because I haven't read the book, but I know it takes place in England, and spoiler alert,
like
near
the
the
film.
end it goes towards England.
Yeah, so the whole film's about a boat that's going from Romania to England, and then, at the end, of course, the film is going to end up in England in one way or another. And now, as far as, I guess, all of these scary scenes do go in this, you know, none of them really got me.
No, neither. I thought the scariest scene was probably one that was seen in the trailer.
Which was that? What scene was
The
that?
one with all the dead animals.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, speaking of that animals, Finn, I did not want that dog to die.
Yeah.
I leaned over to you and I was like, I did not want that dog to die.
Yeah,
and
they killed a dog in that.
yeah, out of all the human characters, like, they could go fuck themselves. Just let that dog survive. But, yeah, no, fucking, yeah, the spoilers there. Yeah, dog dies, all animals die in like, the first 20 minutes of this movie, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we are, yeah, like, I mean, this is already technically a spoiler discussion. I mean, we've already said a lot more shit than what's in the trailer. So, you know, I'm going to put, the spoiler in the title of this video.
Sure.
So, yeah, we'll go forward with spoilers in this film. And now, one thing that I was happy about, Finn.
Yeah.
Which, you know, horror movies always shy away from this. I absolutely hate this. There's some horror movies that do this fantastic, but then there's others that just that shy away from this, and I fucking hate it. But this film actually shows a kid's death.
It does. Yeah.
I was shocked by that. When that happened, I was like, holy shit! I was like, I could not believe it, because, you know, horror's always kind of shied away from, you know, showcasing, you know, children's death, you know, minus the opening of It, and probably a few other titles I just cannot think of at this current time. But I really liked what they did with the kids' death, because, you know, it was on screen, it was raw, it was vicious, it was violent, and just I loved that.
I think there's like a lot of movies, like if you see a kid, you can expect them to not die. I thought it was going to be a fake out when the kid died, and surprisingly it wasn't. But I think it's because of like rating restrictions or something. I think a lot of movies have restrictions on, like, you know, showing deaths of a child.
100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, in this film, I guess if you want to see a dead child,
Yeah.
watch the movie. You know, that really does not sound good coming out, but yeah. And, you know, I really liked, you know, some of the stuff that they also did, you know, after the actual, you know, children's death, as like a good probably 10-minute, you know, mourning scene, and, you know, sympathetic scene, you know, which I won't lie, you know, like, you know, you definitely feel bad for the captain.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he had this whole plan to kind of, you know, this is going to be, you know, his last trip on the boat, and, you know, he was planning to settle down in a little house with his daughter and with his son, and just kind of let his son see the countryside and all that. That's explored very early on in the movie, and so, you know, I think it really, you know, I think the captain's whole arc, I think, really falls apart, like, at the end of the film. All of his dreams and wishes are completely, you know, crumbled. He just wanted one last, you know, peaceful, you know, one last voyage, you know, before his send-off. And, you know, and so, yeah, I really liked the captain in this film.
So did I. I thought I don't know his name, but I think he's Welsh. He played Davos Seaworth in Game of Thrones.
Right.
He's one of my favourite characters in Game of Thrones, but he played him, so, you know, it was cool to see him in that, and I thought he did a really good performance.
Yeah, no, for sure. And now, you know, let's talk about, you know, the kills in this film, Finn.
Yeah.
What did you think of some of the kills?
Yeah, they were pretty good. Pretty brutal. Like,
Yeah, like, I would say that they're pretty standard. You know, like, I feel like, you know, when you have this character of Dracula, I feel like there's just so much more you can do with him. But almost every kill in this film is just biting someone on the neck.
Yeah, that's just what vampires do, though. So it's kind of expected.
I was just expecting, like, a bit more fierce side of Dracula in the film. But, you know, I think as far as the gore goes, I think it is mostly satisfying. I say mostly with quotation marks here, because, you know, while it's not like the goriest film of 2023 or anything, I think there's definitely a fair amount of kills, but after the first one, it's really all the same. Once you've seen one kill in the film, you've seen them all. There's none of them really try to change it up or do anything new or unique. There was one kill I actually did like that was off screen that I thought was very, very effective. was that guy who left in the middle of the night to go on the boat.
Oh, yeah, that one.
I loved his kill because while it's off screen, like, you can only imagine, like, you know, Dracula biting him and then he would have been just dropped he would have just dropped into the ocean. He would have been, you know, like, suffocating and, you know, and drowning in his own blood. And so I think it's like, I don't know, I think it's the imagination aspect to that kill that I really like. And so that's it for the kills there. I did like the ending to the film. I was, you know, as the film's credits were about to roll, I was expecting, this is one of my most hated cliches in horror movies. I absolutely hate it with a passion, Finn, is one last final jump scare for the audience.
Oh, right.
I thought this movie was going to take that trope and use it, because at the end, you know, Dracula doesn't die.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I was expecting him just, you know, jump in front of the screen and, I don't know, sink his teeth at the audience. That's all what I was kind of expecting. But, you know, luckily, you know, there's a really cool, you know, turn of events in the ending, where there's a very familiar knocking sound, which I'm going to get into that in just a second. But, you know, I really like the way that they kind of set up Dracula's character at the end. And I think if they were to do a sequel, I think it's definitely going to be a lot more bloody. I think since they are in England, there's going to be a lot more bodies dropping. And now, getting into that sound thing that I was saying before, this film is very reliant on sound design, which I love. I miss horror movies where it's used sound as a main priority. And I think there's a lot of great suspense scenes where you hear knocking and then it's coming from the other side of the ship, and then the character who you think was making that up, the opposite knocking sound was behind him the entire time. And so I think it really builds this very nice suspense and tension in the film. So I really liked the use of sound all throughout the film. And now, Finn, you said something interesting before. You said in the quick reaction that this was a good film, but not great.
Yep.
What were the aspects that weren't great to you?
As I said, I thought it was kind of like boring in parts. Yeah, maybe it's just the mood I was in, but I was quite bored in quite a few of the scenes. It went on for longer than it needed to. As you said, the second act was kind of padded. There was something else as well. Yeah, it's just nothing about it made me, you know, be like, oh yeah, this is really great. I want to see this again, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. But you know, like one thing I love, but I also have very mixed feelings on this, is I love the way Dracula was introduced. Not on screen wise, not as in presence wise, but the suggestion of him at the start of the film, where that guy sees the dragon symbol and then freaks out.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
I love that, because I think it really sets up what you're supposed to fear, kind of going in to the rest of the first act and then forward. And I really liked that aspect to it. This was a very boring film. There's definitely a few scenes in the third act that 100% could have got cut. There's a scene that, you know, I'm either going to regret this when I say it. I need to watch the movie a second time to really see the context that this scene was used in, but the scene when the captain has the gun and he starts pointing it at some of his staff members, or crew members in better terms, that's a scene that I see the importance in it, but then when you look at like the bigger picture, there's not, like, that scene really feels out of left field.
Yeah, they could have developed on it more. I thought they were going to go this big twist where he would turn evil or something, but it just kind of happened. Yeah. And it was resolved almost instantly.
Yeah. And, you know, I really, you know, I really liked this is such a realistic in interpretation of how I think characters would act in a situation like this. I think they would very much start turning on each other, like especially towards the end when everything like hits.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping for more of that. I kind of wish,
you know, because as much as that scene kind of hints at that, it doesn't really do anything with it. I was expecting everybody to kind of go their separate ways because really, you know, towards the end of this film, this is survival of the fittest. Like you know, working as a team, I mean, that only gets you so far in a situation where a fucking creature who can fly, he can easily pick you off one by one. And speaking, Finn, of one by one.
Yeah.
Let me turn that on to cool for a second. It is getting very hot in here.
It is.
There we go. This film, one thing I did love is this feels like a slasher film, which I loved. Like, and it has, because, you know, Dracula's picking them off one by one. And, you know, just, I really like the slasher elements of this film. This isn't a film I would say that is so much entertaining per se. I would say this is definitely a film that you have to, I feel like you look more into it, and this film definitely has a message to say. It has a message to say about religion as well.
Oh yeah, I guess there was that thing that was a nice touch. That I'm pretty sure the crucifixes didn't work against the vampire, which it normally does.
Yeah,
which I thought was a nice.
I really like that because, you know, possession
nice
movies, crosses work. Dracula, nope. And so I really like that aspect. But then, you know, like also, you know, since, you know, all these characters, you know, seem to follow like a religion, you know, at their darkest point and at their most, you know, worthless point, you know, like, they're turning to their God, and their God is just not helping them. And I think, there's a lot of lines saying that, God is not on board this ship, it's only evil. And, you know, that is something that I really loved, because I think it creates this more of a sense of dread for the film, Finn.
Yeah. I mean, it is like a period piece, and like
definitely.
18th or 19th century.
It was the 1800s.
Yeah, 1800s. So it's like, I'm pretty sure people were a lot more religious then.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense that it's mentioned and stuff.
Speaking of the whole 1800 aspect as well, you know, I really liked the whole look and how they decided to recapture the 1800s.
I agree with that.
This looks immaculate from frame one right to the final frame of this film. This film looks like a film that was filmed in the 1800s. It's like the director and the cast got a time machine, went back to that era and filmed exactly how it went down. And, you know, I really like that. I think they do a great job at recapturing it. While, you know, I'm not sure how important, you know, this is probably a very controversial take here, but, you know, I'm not, you know, entirely sure on how popular slaves were back then. Because, I mean, the 1800s, like, I'm sure slaves were used a lot more then. And, you know, I don't know, there's definitely a few scenes in the first act where I was waiting to kind of see some of that behavior come out.
Yeah.
I won't get into it specifically here, but, you know, I feel like they could have kind of maybe dived into that aspect a bit more, because I think that was an important time for the 1800s, was the whole slavery that it had. Would you agree with that, Finn?
I'm not entirely sure where slavery ended, especially not in England, but yeah, I do. The main character was
was African American.
I don't know if he's I think he's British African actually.
Right.
He was also in Game of Thrones playing, I don't know what his name was, a smaller character, but he was black, and he was, you know, I thought he was a pretty good character, good performance, and he he goes over, you know, how he is like less rights than, you know, standard person.
Yeah, like I did like how they did go into it. Yeah, like, and you're right, Finn. You know, like it's. Yeah, especially with Romania. Like, I know in certain places slavery was a bigger problem than others, but And then yeah, with England, I'm not I haven't read exactly. I don't know my history too well here, but you know, I feel like there was just that little bit of touch because when you watch films like, I'm not sure if you've seen this or not, film about 12 Years of Slave and.
No, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, if you watch like a film, like that, you really see how, slaves are being treated. Well, this film, it's not based on slavery. So, I mean, I can kind of see why they avoided that, but, I feel that would have been, like a nice, little touch to kind of add to that 1800s era.
Fair enough, yeah.
And then I'm just trying to think if there's anything else to say here. There's definitely a lot to unravel with this movie. While I'm thinking, Finn, you want to say anything else about the movie?
I think I've kind of said everything I want to say about the movie.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, Dracula was pretty cool in it. Like
the final 20 minutes of this movie, I think, is the best. I think if the movie could have been more like that, where it was the whole, setting up traps, and all of that, and having
that would have been cool.
and having a game plan, I feel like this movie would have been so much better.
Actually, one thing I would say about the final act is this is one of the rare cases in the movie where I thought the final fight scene was too short. Normally, they're too long in movies. The final fight scene goes on forever and ever and ever and ever.
And you thought this one was too short?
Yeah, no. It was kind of just started and ended.
Very quickly, yeah. Very quickly.
Quite disappointing.
Yeah.
It was set up well.
It was because, that's like the image that you see when the camera's behind Dracula pointing out towards the ship and you see the main character there. That's actually the main poster for the film.
Yeah.
So I was kind of expecting more of a battle there, but I did like the ending. How Dracula was flying around, circling. Like there's all this mist that
that was cool.
That comes aboard, and that it reminded me a little bit of John Carpenter's The Fog. It reminded me a little bit of that. So I like that. Like the whole final 20 minutes. I thought was very, very fun, very entertaining to watch. And this film has, it has definitely some pretty difficult scenes to watch. While the CGI looked shit.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was very noticeable which scenes were CGI.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure
which was ironic because the makeup looked really good.
It did, yeah. But I'm pretty sure you know what I'm about to say here, Finn.
Yeah.
About the uncomfortable scenes. There's a lot of scenes when people are being lit on fire.
Oh yeah.
Which makes sense for the whole Dracula story, but I thought those scenes were so rough and hard to watch.
Yeah.
Just because you have to kind of think, as much as they are infected by Dracula and they're under his control now, like there's still a little bit of them inside.
Yeah.
Whether it's very deep or there's still just a 5%, of there's still a 5%, at least of themselves in there, and just kind of to see that, to hear them screaming in agony and all that, I thought that was just painful to watch. Nothing against it. I thought the scenes were directed real well, and it makes sense, but
apparently burning alive is one of the most painful ways to die, so
yeah. That was a struggle. But then saying that as well, I think another thing is that the CGI on all of those scenes looked absolutely horrible.
Fair enough.
I did not think the CGI was convincing in those scenes at all. This is definitely a film it's not reliant on CGI, because I think the way Dracula is done is spectacular. Like the makeup, the teeth work, the design of him, I think is phenomenal. And I just wish the film would have gone more to that practical side. I mean, I understand, it's very hard to kind of, light people on fire without it being CGI.
Yeah.
But, I feel like you could have done maybe some camera trickery to kind of even make it look cooler, or I don't know, or make it look more convincing than what it was. And this film is directed by Andrew O'Drill. I can not pronounce the guy's name. I'm not even going to try, but he's the director of one of my favorite films of 2019, 2020, 2018 maybe, I don't know, called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Oh yeah, I heard about
Yeah,
that.
I saw that film 5 times in theaters. That film I loved. And then he's also done a few others, but that's kind of the film that I mostly know him for, and I thought he did a great job with that. And this film, I don't want to kind of recap everything I've said here, but this film really, it does not know what it wants to be.
Yeah, that's
I'm going to come back to that point I said before about, the film's definitely not centered on characters, while a lot of the scenes that you see are characters talking. There's not a whole lot of development.
Yeah, I thought the characters were weak, but the performances were pretty decent.
Yeah, no, the performances were strong. But I just felt if you were going to make a more character-driven film, I thought you would just spend more time trying to develop these characters than have a lot of them being one note. And, I also thought some of the writing in the first act was very clunky as well. Because, there's this character who I don't remember seeing him in the film all that much, but there's this guy who keeps on saying, evil is on board, evil is here.
Yeah.
And, that line just did not sit well with me when I watched this movie.
No, yeah, it did seem pretty cliche.
Because it's like, you have to kind of think that all of these people, like when that guy at the start was being like, I'm not aborting the ship because, you're carrying evil and shit. Everybody's like, fuck him.
Yeah.
So it's obvious that you've already set up these characters that don't believe that they're carrying an evil creature. And then later on, and then a few minutes later, you're saying that, like, evil's on board. And I'm just like, really? You've really changed your opinion fast on this. And yeah, I don't know. That's just a line that did not sit well with me, because I thought it was very out of context, and then it would just immediately cut to another scene. It wasn't really much. There wasn't a whole lot of elaborating on that. So that I thought, that was probably the weakest line of the film. For the most part, I thought all the dialogue was quite good. But then this film also wants to try and be a mystery, which I can see why in context of the story, but everybody already knows what the mystery is.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I don't know why. It's in the fucking title of the movie when the credits come up, like Dracula, Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Yeah, but it's not like they know who Dracula is,
Yeah, but like, I mean, I don't know, I just feel like for a lot of audience going to this movie, they're going to be expecting Dracula, and I just don't think he's really in the movie a whole heap. I think when you do see him, they're all the highlight scenes. I think there's a lot of great scenes where he's in the background, he's lurking in the darkness, and to me, that's what I love about Dracula, is he's always someone that's been, that's in the background, that's just waiting for his prey to be in the right place at the right time. And I felt like the way they portrayed him in this was more like a slasher villain. You have any thoughts to say on that, Finn?
No, I think I've said everything I want to say about the movie.
Right. No, okay, no, cool. Well, anything I'm going to say, just jump on in. And then, I think this film, took 15 years to make. I feel like did it need to take that long to really make a movie like this? No. I mean, at least I can't see this being like a really hard movie to make. Just because
I get the feeling they were on a lower budget than your standard movie.
Right. Oh yeah, you can definitely tell.
It kind of looked like not super low budget, but definitely lower than like a Hollywood movie.
Yeah, for sure. Horrors aren't given the biggest budgets, and I think that's where horror shines to me, Finn. That's where horror shines, is if they work with a lower budget. Because I think if you give them a high budget, then then you'll become a Marvel movie then. So I think if you keep it low, I think you're really pulling each cent out, and you're being careful with it. But I feel like this is a story that you had the blueprints for. I think it might come across, Finn, as I'm probably hating on that, but I'm just saying, just don't know why this film took 15 years. And I'm sure there's a lot of studio interference. I know there was a lot of changing of writers and directors. I've read up on the whole process, Finn. And I'm sure this would have definitely been a hard script to sell to someone and to pitch and all that. So I don't want to give the studio or the creative team a hard time on it. But I think for what the movie was, I think it was a fun ride.
Yeah, I thought it was alright.
Definitely not a perfect movie, but this is definitely a step in the right direction for 2023. I'm looking forward to September. Oh, is it September? Well, what's next month, Finn?
September.
September. Okay, cool. So yeah, bloody hell, my brain's in fucking. I know it's in fucking December right now. I don't know, but because next year we have the Nun 2. We have a couple of other movies coming out. Saw X. So very excited for that. So I think this is definitely a film, a step in the right direction. 2023 has definitely been a very bland year when it comes to a lot of movies for me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oppenheimer's probably been one of the only movies that I've really enjoyed this year.
I liked Oppenheimer and Barbie. That was it. Everything else I thought was
everything else has been either
this was okay, slightly better than bland. Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a step in the right direction. Hoping 2023 gets better.
Hopefully.
I hate that glare.
Oh, Last of Us was this year. It was a show, but Last of Us was really good actually.
But yeah, this is a step. This is a step in the right direction for 2023. Hoping 2023 has a good list of movies coming out. So hoping it delivers, and then lots of good movies. But I can't believe it's taken this long in 2023 to actually finally get at least a solid movie coming out of it.
Yeah.
Because this year, I've been going to the theater and I've left almost every showing, with the most disappointing, reaction. So, minus Infinity Pool. Infinity Pool I enjoyed. So, but yeah, besides that, I can't really think of much else this year that's been really a standout for me. So, anyways, let us know down in the comments. What do you think of the last voyage of the Demeter? 37 minutes, Finn. This has been a long review.
Yeah.
Lots to discuss in this, but I guess we're stuck about to the 37-minute mark. Thank you.
Yep,
I guess.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah. This is hoping you're all enjoying my collaborations I'm doing with Finn, and we're both very excited to bring you Stalker 3 coming out in November. So we are. So we have a good end of the year coming up, Finn.
Yeah.
Stalker Part 4 is going into production soon, so that's very exciting.
It is.
And so this is it's building up to be a pretty solid year. So anyways, guys, let us know down in the comments what did you think of the last voyage of the Demeter.